各位现场在座的所有产业先进以及所有的与会贵宾，大家早安，大家好，我是今天的主持人，我是 Rita， 很开心可以邀请到现场在座的所有贵宾莅临现场来参与我们今天的论坛以及我们今天的会议。在我们今天论坛和会议开始之前呢 ，Rita 有几件事情要来提醒现场的各位嘉宾。首先，线上的所有与会贵宾，邀请您，我们的活动呢在10分钟后要正式开始了，邀请您，请先确认一下您的电脑产品、您的电脑设备是否都已经准备好了，耳机、荧幕是否都已经准备好了，来参与我们今天的论坛以及活动。现场在座的与会贵宾，等会我们第1位讲者是由我们德国来的贵宾会来到舞台上来做致辞。那要邀请我们各位现场的与会贵宾，如果您有需要口译机的，我们在门口有提供口译机，会来做我们双向的翻译。那邀请我们现场的各位与会贵宾，如果您有需要口译机，可以来到我们门口处来做领取。我们今天是双语的论坛。那另外呢，我们本次活动的化妆室位于出口处的左手边，如果您有需要使用到化妆室的话呢，也邀请各位嘉宾方便使用。最后要邀请我们各位嘉宾，为了维护我们会议的品质，有请您将您的手机调整为震动或者是静音模式，来维护我们今天的会议品质。本次的会议即将就要在10分钟后要正式开始了，邀请现场在座的所有与会贵宾，请尽速就座，谢谢。 现场所有产业先进以及所有的与会贵宾，大家早安，大家好，我是今天的主持人，我是 Rita， 欢迎各位莅临由我们数位发展部数位产业署所举办的国际论坛暨成果发表会。那我们今天要讨论的议题是数位转型，看见台湾数位竞争力的主题。在我们今天论坛的开始之前呢 ，Rita 有几件事情要来邀请我们线上以及线下的所有与会贵宾共同来注意了。首先有请我们线上的所有与会贵宾，邀请您，请确认您的电脑设备是否都已经准备好来参与我们今天的会议了？您的耳机、您的荧幕是否都已经准备好来参与我们今天全程的会议了？线下所有在场的所有与会贵宾，有请您，本次活动的化妆室位于出口处的左手边，如果您有需要方便使用的话，欢迎来到我们的出口处左手边来做方便使用。第二件事情，本次活动为双语的论坛。等会呢，我们会邀请到我们国外的讲师来到舞台上来做分享。那有请有需要翻译机，我们门口呢有翻译机的借用处。那邀请大家，如果您有需要翻译机的话，来到门口的借用处，可以来领取我们的翻译机，可以邀请您来全程参与我们今天的会议。另外呢，我们今天的活动马上的在5分钟后就要正式开始了。Rita 再一次的邀请我们现场所有与会贵宾，请您将您的手机调为震动或者是静音模式，以免来影响我们今天会议的进行。那我们等会会议呢，在5分钟后就要正式开始了。也再次邀请我们外头，如果还没有与会贵宾入席的话呢，邀请全场的贵宾可以尽速就座，谢谢。 迎现场在座所有的产业先进以及所有的与会贵宾，大家早安，大家好。我们是不是借由一个掌声来欢迎现场所有与会贵宾的莅临？掌声欢迎。谢谢现场在座所有莅临来到高雄，来到我们今天我们的展会的现场来参与我们今天会议的所有与会贵宾。据我所知，现场的各位贵宾其实不只是来自高雄，也有来自外县市，甚至来自国外的国家来到现场来参与我们今天的论坛。非常感谢您的莅临以及参与，谢谢大家的莅临来参与数位发展部数位产业署所举办的国际论坛暨成果发表会。我们这一次论坛的主题是数位转型，看见台湾数位竞争力。在我们数位科技的快速的演进底下，唯有数位转型提升产业竞争力以及我们的企业价值，才能够创造更多的发展契机。那我们在这一次的论坛当中呢，特别的邀请到了我们国际知名企业的数位转型专家来到现场，来和我们分享数位转型上的宝贵经验，以及对未来软体技术发展的见解，来协助我们现场各位资服业者在与国际接轨上，可以找到更适合的策略以及解决方案，来促进我们台湾在数位经济发展上的前进。那今天呢，我们也特别荣幸的可以邀请到我们许多的业者、许多的专家，甚至是现场在座的所有与会先进来到现场来参与我们今天的会议。那我们今天为了要扩大我们的影响力，本次的国际论坛及成果发表会，除了现场在座的每一位与会贵宾之外，我们线上的所有与会贵宾也欢迎您的莅临来参与我们今天的活动。那在我们今天的活动呢，其实是有线上直播的，希望呢，不论您是在线上，又或者是在线下，我们都诚挚的邀请您来参与我们今天的活动，也预祝大家呢，可以在我们今天的活动当中获得宝贵的经验、知识以及见解。那在我们今天的活动一开始，首先我们要来邀请到的是我们今天主办单位数位发展部唐凤部长要来为我们支持。那我们今天唐凤部长呢没有办法亲临现场，但是我们部长录制了一段影片来为我们今天的活动来拉开序幕。现场在座所有的与会贵宾，我们是不是借由您的掌声，让我们来掌声欢迎数位发展部唐凤部长的支持？掌声有请。
各位现场还有线上参与的贵宾、业界先进，大家好！我要感谢各位莅临今天数位转型看见台湾数位竞争力国际论坛，还有成果发表会，期待今天的盛会能够共同为未来开创新的篇章。我们数位部主要负责推动我们数位政策的创新还有变革，我们同时照顾到设发、产发、图发3个不同的面向。整体的规划数位政策，我们的英文叫做 MODA， 就是希望能够成为全台湾数位发展的马达，在转型的过程里面达到全民数位韧性 resilience 这个目标。过去1年来，当然我们不断提升通讯的韧性，好比像说非同步卫星，以及资安防护的能量，好比像说导入零信任的机制。除此之外，我们也引导数位产业的发展，推动各行各业的数位转型升级，来建构坚韧的产业生态。我们在今年也第一次在公共建设里面纳入了数位基础建设，也就是系统、程式码等等这些都纳入公建预算当中，让软体也成为公共建设的一环。举例来说，我们全民普发现金6000元的系统，就是把疫情期间补助纾困的系统拓展为全台湾2300万人都能使用的规模。未来各部会或地方政府要进行发放的时候，就不用再重新建立一套可以沿用，而且也加速政府的服务效能。在数位公共建设的思维底下，我们也会借接各种便民的数位公共服务，而且呢也会提出程式码安全合规的平台，确保作为公共建设的 public code 公共程式满足资安要求。这样子，新的技术、新的应用、数据都可以快速的串接，解决目前公共跟私人资料散落各处无法有效运用，资服业者重复投入开发的这些问题。而且呢，公司民部门各个的资料只要串接之后，我们就可以加速发展， 在不影响隐私的前提之下，去加速防救灾、照护、社会福利、观光等等的服务。我想，数位转型看见台湾数位竞争力国际论坛，也是邀请了在各自领域里面有着卓越贡献的产业专家，聚焦讨论全球软体技术的趋势，以及如何强化我们台湾资服业的数位竞争力。这些重要议题，正是与我们数位部协助资服产业技术创新跟国际接轨的目标若合符节。台湾有非常多出色的资服业者，还有硬体的制造商，以及充满创意的新创事业，大家都是数位竞争力不可或缺的一部分。我们数位部就是希望能够找到提高所有人的韧性、服务品质、效率等等的数位工具，以一个大沙盒的角色抢先来试用，辅助全民跟产业更顺利的转型升级。举例来说，像血海国际深耕旅宿产业20多年，已经协助了上千家企业，透过行销整合的系统，让饭店串接国际订房平台，增加曝光率。利用云端工具，让人员有更多时间投入，来增进旅客的住宿体验。所以这次活动下午也规划了精彩的云端服务成功经验分享论坛，更邀请到法人跟12家云端服务业者进行现场的 demo 展示。我想我们数位部一定更加努力跟国际伙伴深化链接合作，来帮各行各业都能够提升数位竞争力。谢谢大家的贡献跟参与 ，Live long and prosper。
我们是不是掌声献给部长的致辞？谢谢部长特别呢录了这个影片来为我们今天的论坛来做开场。那紧接着呢，我们要来邀请到的是特别专程南下来到我们高雄来参与论坛，来到现场的数位发展部数位产业署胡贝蒂副署长，掌声有请副署长。
专程来到高雄的应该不是只有我吧？OK， 我们 Dr. Christoph， 然后还有庄技术长，还有我们詹教授，就是等一下的 speaker 们，然后各位现场的贵宾先进，大家早安，大家好。
好。
今天非常开心来到高雄办我们这样子的一个论坛跟成果发表会。其实刚才致辞的部分，部长都已经把重点讲完了。那我今天来这里啊，其实有一点是，希望透过今天这样的机会来稍微跟大家分享一下，就是明年或者是未来我们想要做的一些事情。那因为这些未来要做的事情，可能需要大家的智慧贡献，所以我算是准备了等一下聊天的素材这样子。那跟各位报告一下，我们算是数位部产业署现在在立法院的预算大概有几个重点哦。第一个部分就刚才部长也有提到这个。我先讲这个公共建设的部分，软体也是可以是公共建设的一部分，所以我们现在希望知道说算力的部分、资料的部分或者是程式码的部分，是不是可以成为公共建设的一部分，让大家做后续的在做软体开发的时候，可不可以有更多的基础，让大家不要做重复的事情，这是第一项。第二项的部分，我们刚才那个教授也提到，就是那个量子电脑开始开发出来之后，这个密码怎么办哈？那量子电脑对于某些的这个密码的演算会非常快就可以解开来，所以在后量子的时代，这个密码怎么办？所以这个部分未来我们有相关的计划投入里面去做相关的技术开发。那另外一个题目就是生成式 AI 的部分，今天那个詹老师也在，就是 AI 的部分，现在眼镜也因为有这个生成式 AI， 那我们当然应用的部分我们有这个比如说云市集上面的所有的SaaS 的 solution， 未来会不会应用这个生成式 AI？ 或者是我们现在正在国科会集结很多学者在开发这种台湾比较属于台湾的大语言模型的部分所以这个部分开发出来之后，怎么应用在比较有台湾特色的这些 SaaS 或 App 等等，这个部分可能是未来一起要努力的。所以因为这样，我们也在年底会成立 AI 的评测中心。那这样评测中心出来之后，怎么样协助大家互相去了解这个 AI 的内容，怎么样更正确、更没有偏差等等，这个是未来努力的方向。那再来是比如说各行各业数位转型的时候， 其实过去金融业或者是医疗服务产业，因为很多的数据是有个人的隐私，所以过去都不容许上云。那现在金管会也慢慢开放，有一些资料可以上云。那诊所的部分是不是有一些系统也可以上云？这个是我们即将要开始努力的。那最近健保署也开始有点沟通的说明会，所以也希望这些诊所啊，或者是一些中药行都没有办法用一些系统的，或者是比较低端的系统，看看是不是可以透过这一波，然后是不是未来可以往上云的方向来发展？那我还漏掉什么哈？等一下好，让我看一下，还很多我一定要讲到啊。好，高龄科技。大家刚才我们在那个闲聊的时候也讨论到高龄科技这一件事情。那除了有一些 AIoT 的东西要怎么样去协助高龄之外，事实上我们未来数位部也会有一个平台，是希望高龄相关的 solution 就可以集结在那个平台上面，让大家这些照护者可以很容易看得到这些资源在哪里。然后真的找得到，然后真的用得到，然后协助大家在照顾的人可以更容易善用政府不管是中央或地方的资源，让我们在面向这个高龄的社会的时候，可以有更多的资源垂手可得，然后更可以让我们在不管在北部上班的可以照顾南部的人，或者是南部的年轻人可以照顾北部的爸妈等等，都可以很容易的照顾身边的长者这样子。那这个大概就是我们几件正在努力的事情，所以参加实体的就是有这种好处。等一下听完这个讲者的演说之后，大家互相交流，然后看看有什么样新的火花可以激荡。那希望各位今天的这个论坛或者是外面的展场逛一逛，希望大家都非常有收获。谢谢各位。
谢谢，掌声献给我们的胡副署长，也有请我们胡副署长请留步。今天呢，相当难得可以邀请到这么多国内外的贵宾来到现场。那我们希望呢，可以借由这一次难得的机会呢，可以来和我们贵宾跟我们的讲师们一同来一张大合照，来预祝我们今天的活动顺利圆满成功，也并且为我们这一次难得的经验留下一个美好的回忆。那等会呢 ，Rita 会邀请我们的贵宾来到舞台上。有请我们各位贵宾，从我们的舞台左右两侧有礼宾小姐会来引导您来到舞台上来依序就赞。那我们可以来一张大合照。首先，各位嘉宾，让我们来掌声欢迎来自于德国的 Dr. Christoph Stronado from Software AG。Let's welcome。紧接着第二位贵宾，让我们来掌声欢迎 IBM 装饰艺技术长，掌声有请。紧接着第三一位成功大学詹宝珠特聘教授，有请教授。紧接着是我们今天的主办单位数位产业署的长官们，掌声有请曾碧云组长，掌声有请组长。紧接着是我们的巫建恒科长，欢迎科长。以及我们陈淑莹科长，有请科长。以及我们今天知策会的长官们也莅临了现场，掌声有请知策会软体院蒙以亨院长，有请院长。以及我们今天的协办单位也来到了现场，掌声有请资裕股份有限公司孙真如总经理，有请总经理。最后，让我们来欢迎亚湾新创园翁明章计划主持人，有请计划主持人。好，我们有请我们台上的所有与会贵宾，帮我看我们前方的摄影镜头。好，那我们一起来一张大合照 ，Please look at the camera and smile. 3, 2, 1。好，等会呢，邀请我们所有与会贵宾。等会 Rita 会说“台湾加油，让世界看见台湾”。有请各位贵宾给我一个赞，来为我们今天来赞下现场的所有与会贵宾。让我们一起“台湾加油，让世界看见台湾”，赞，掌声。 谢谢我们，谢谢所有长官们，有请长官们从我们的舞台的左侧来依序入席，并带着您的手牌来到位置上。谢谢各位长官。那今天呢，除了我们台上的各位长官来到了现场之外，今天我们其实也有12位的亮点厂商的代表也来到了现场来参与我们今天的会议。那有请呢，我们各位厂商代表，等会喊到您的名字的时候，有请您请起身，拿着牌子跟大家挥挥手，并且和线上的我们的与会贵宾挥挥手，我们镜头都在前方。首先，我们来掌声欢迎百家资通林崇仁总经理，欢迎总经理。以及季和资讯张凯仲执行长，欢迎执行长。以及邻居农业科技林敬佑总经理，欢迎总经理的莅临。以及尖兵智能科技黄文静副总经理，欢迎副总经理。以及瑞阳资讯赖俊仁处长，欢迎处长。以及易兴资讯陈佩琪业务副总经理，欢迎副总经理。以及我们凯电行动科技丁义文资深商务开发经理，欢迎经理。以及英特内软体彭敏琪专案经理，欢迎经理的莅临。以及旭海国际科技杨文宇副理，欢迎副理。最后，让我们来掌声有请益阳科技于兆勤业务副理，欢迎副理。谢谢我们，谢谢所有与会贵宾今天难得的莅临来到现场来参与我们今天的论坛。今天的论坛因为有各位的参与，才能够更加的丰富，我们才有办法将一滴水的力量变成一桶水，让我们全台湾的力量可以无限的放大。谢谢大家的与会，谢谢让大家把力量变成无限大。那现在呢，我要来有请现场在座的每一位与会贵宾，可以来到看到我们前方的摄影镜头，有请前方的各位长官们，请立起我们的手举牌，以不要挡到脸为主，好不好？不要挡到脸为主，立起我们的手举牌。好，已经在前方了，好聪明。好，来前方的看前方的摄影镜头。好，现场在座所有与会贵宾，等会 Rita 会说“台湾加油，让世界看见台湾”。各位嘉宾，请大大给我一个赞，让我们来为台湾赞下。现场各位嘉宾，台湾加油，让世界看见台湾。好，让世界看见台湾。谢谢大家，谢谢。谢谢各位所有的产业先进以及与会贵宾莅临了这一次的活动，让我们今天的活动可以这么精彩，这么丰富。好的，马上的就要来到各位嘉宾引颈期盼我们的论坛一开始了，那马上就要来进行我们正式的议程了。最后还是提醒大家，现场各位嘉宾，我们今天的第一位讲者是来自国外的贵宾。如果您有需要使用到我们的口译的耳机，口译的耳机在我们的门口处，如果您有需要口译的耳机的话呢，在门口处都可以来做借用。那我们今天首先议程邀请到了许多我们享誉国际的国际专家来到现场。那大家呢在桌上都有一个 QR code， 欢迎大家随时的在我们议程当中，如果您有任何的问题，欢迎您随时扫描我们桌上的 QR code， 您就可以来做提问，那我们今天会有一个 panel discussion 的时间，那邀请大家呢可以在 discussion 的时候呢，我们就可以来和我们台上的所有的讲师以及专家们可以做双向的互动，有双向的互动，我们台湾才会更好。谢谢您的配合以及参与。那我们首先邀请到的第一位讲者，是由我们德国知名软体大厂 Software AG 远道而来的讲师来到了现场，要来和各位嘉宾分享的是借由可信任生态圈，协助各行各业数位转型的成功经验。Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together. Let's welcome Dr. Christoph Sornado. Let's welcome.
Yeah, thanks a lot for the nice welcome. Thanks for the nice introduction. Yeah, my name is Christoph Sornado, and I'm the Deputy Chief Technical Officer of Software AG. And as you can unmistakably notice from my accent, I come from Europe. Software AG is the second largest software company in Germany after the other one with the 3 letters, also starting with S. But I personally live in Vienna in Austria, which has been voted once again the loveliest city in the world. But it's almost as beautiful as Taiwan and Kaohsiung. Thanks for inviting me. The only thing I have to tell you before I start going into the trust and ecosystems is, what does a CTO do? And the answer, actually part of the answer is in the slides, but the answer is very easy. I have to look into the future, you know, quantum computing, DNA computing, trust, which is kind of here or over there. Then I have to, let's say, understand those technologies, translate the impact of the technologies into our own software products. We can integrate everything, but then I have to convince not only my management, but also our customers. You know, some of the customers are here, that's maybe in Taiwan. Some of our customers are more like, you know, over the side here. Because eventually, software and digital transformation is about moving the things at the far end of the technology spectrum into every industry, also small and medium-sized industry. And one part, or one way how you can do that, also for the medium, for the smaller ones, but also for the large ones, is when we talk about ecosystems. And what these are, what is an ecosystem? Why you should think, or actually why and when, under which conditions you should think about talking about implementing ecosystems, and how you could do that. This is the part of my keynote speech. The first one is the term. Ecosystem is a notoriously overloaded term. You see that very often even in annual reports of stock companies. Everyone is using the term ecosystem, and it can mean anything. But for me, and for digital transformation, I want to narrow it down. I want to give you an explanation, but I will not start with the ecosystem in IT. I will start with ecosystems in ecology, in biology. And I have 3 examples, and you can use them later on, and I will tell you, of course, in the presentation, to better understand and grasp the term, and then you can act. The first ecosystem, and this is a kind of a mini quiz, we're very early in the morning, you know this kind of ecosystem. I don't know whether you have something like that in Taiwan, of course. It's a tropical forest, probably not. Do you have something like that? Yeah, tropical forest, so that's easy. The next difficult one is that one. It's called a wetland. But as I learned, actually from my wife, there are different wetlands depending on the depth. So if you have water 10, 20 centimeter depth, you have different species than if you go down to the sea, where the water is maybe 50 centimeters, 60 centimeters, or if you have wetlands where you only have 5 centimeters of water. And the hardest example of ecosystem is the following. What is the ecosystem here? And the answer is, it could be anything. It could be the tidal system. It could also be the small ponds up over there. And these are called tidal ponds. But for a biologist, they can also define an ecosystem to contain 2 ponds. You know, you have some animals, some crustaceans who walk from one pond to the other. So that's a very small ecosystem. But in biology, the key takeaway, and this also holds for economy, is that you have to define the boundaries of the ecosystem before you start talking about them. Because otherwise, no one would understand what is the ecosystem in the third example. For those of you who want to look it up later, I have given you exact definitions. I'm not going into the detail here. I can freely share the slides with you. Please read it later on. There is only one vital element to understand also ecosystems in economy. And this is the following National Geographic definition I'm going to read with you. An ecosystem is a geographic area where plants, animals, and other organisms, that's clear. But, and this is important also for business, other, as well as weather and landscape, as well as other factors. And in biology, they are called non-biotic, non-living factors. So you also have to include the rock, also kind of infrastructure. It's hinting already at later stages. Work together, very important, and please remember that, I will come back to it, to form a bubble of life. I know that's not an academic definition, but it's very, you remember that in your heart. And I give you, if you read that later on, these are the definitions, the key criteria for a biological ecosystems. Now, if we turn to ecosystems, and I'm not going into the details here, if we turn to business ecosystems, what type of systems, of ecosystems come to your mind? We did a little bit of research, and part of the ecosystems, everyone would agree that these are ecosystems, like AWS, Google, Android. But if you look at the two columns, there is a vital difference, a defining difference between the left column, the left series of bullets, and the right one. And the right bullets, the right examples of ecosystems, they are different because they do not have a technical platform in the middle. If you look at Novo Nordisk, they engaged I think in mainland China, in a diabetes ecosystems. So they talked to the hospitals, to the pharmacies, to the doctors, to the patients, to the insulin-producing companies, and thereby created an ecosystem. And the only IT thing they needed was maybe Microsoft Teams. It was much earlier, so they had email and maybe fax. So an ecosystem does not necessarily need a platform in the middle. Also innovation, like Philips Healthcare, an innovation ecosystem is not primarily about a large platform in the middle. And actually, there is a line of thinking in ecosystems research where you say that all these classical platforms, actually they are two-sided platforms linking buyers and producers, they aren't real ecosystems. Because if I am a seller on eBay, and there is another seller on eBay, and there is a buyer on eBay, and there is another buyer on eBay, do they interact in a coherent way? Is there any force which connect them other than I want to sell something or I want to buy something? And many believe that true ecosystems need to have a center of gravity, something more than just logging into the platform and selling stuff or buying stuff. So you need, and this will be important for later, you need a common value proposition for all ecosystem participants. Otherwise, it's too loose. So 50% believe that two-sided platforms are not real ecosystems. I won't argue it here, but it's better to have more economic purpose than just meet on a standard platform to exchange business. I'm a realist. The people come to me because they listen to my advice because it's realistic. I'm not a dreamer. We have examples of ecosystems which have miserably failed despite lots of money. Covisint, for instance, in the 2000s, after the bubble, the dot-com bubble has busted, was a supply chain kind of platform ecosystems. And you can read the numbers, $500 million, and it miserably failed. So there is no guarantee of success, but there are some conditions under which ecosystem flourish, but there is no guarantee. So it's still strategic, and you have to rely on business leaders. So that's kind of the idea of what ecosystems could be. If you look into the way businesses organize themselves, and you have ecosystems, kind of a magic things, kind of another way how to do things, how would that compare? In normal companies, you have a company, which is the dashed box. It's selling something to the customers, and of course, this company has a larger or a smaller supply chain. Sometimes you have, if you look at the spectrum of potential ways how businesses or coordinate themselves. You can have that, and on the left-hand side, there will be other, more stable, more integrated ways to do business, but on the right-hand side, you have more liquid, more fluid, more agile, if you like, forms of coordinating work. Because this is the thing why you do these types of organizations, to produce something and sell it. If you don't like a kind of a complex supply chain, you can act like Apple, which is a deeply integrated, vertically integrated company. So they want to control almost everything themselves. You can do that, but you can get very large and very slow, very rigid. If you look at very large companies, 100 to 300,000 companies, they have many procedures. So they are very, very slow. And if you are living in a quickly changing environment, that's too slow. If you look at this form, how to organize businesses, it's hierarchical. So you have a firm, it's hierarchy, you have a boss at the top, and the boss, she or he, tells the employees what to do. What is the other way to organize work, to organize business? A much more fluid way. And every one of you knows that already. It's, of course, the market. You go to a market or even a platform, and you, as an end consumer, as the end customer, you have to integrate everything yourself. You buy what you need, and it's your task up at the top to make something out of it. And, of course, as a consumer, you are very, very flexible to do that. However, you are not integrated. You have to do everything yourself. You don't have any supplier who is doing the work for you. And if you want to balance the rigidity, the structural, the very rigid structure of companies, which is very effective, very cost-effective, if you want to balance that and mix that with the much more agile market approach, then you find the place in that spectrum where ecosystems belong to. And on one hand, that's very good because they are much more agile than a normal company, an integrated one. They are more organized than the market. You have companies who are part of the ecosystem, of course. In many cases, you have an ecosystem orchestrator, a center of gravity, which is holding together the ecosystem a little bit. And it's in the middle. The problem is the place in the middle, because potentially it's unstable, and we know that since the 1990s. If the ecosystem is too successful, they are always in the danger of either falling apart, ecosystem falls apart, and then you get the market with the individual partners of the ecosystem competing against each other, or the ecosystem orchestrator underneath buys every supplier and becomes a very rich, powerful monopolist in that ecosystem. But for a certain period of time, 5-10 years maybe, ecosystems promise something which neither the corporation as governance form or the market as the other governance form, money is the coordinating mechanism in the market, can provide. And this is the downside of ecosystems, that they are potentially unstable. So they need nudging, they need constant attention. But why would you do that? I have hinted already a little bit to that. Before I go to the whys, I have one theoretical, not exercise, but really a definition you need to keep in mind when it comes to talking about ecosystems. Otherwise, I'm very honest with you, otherwise it becomes bullshit bingo. Anything can be an ecosystem. I'm an ecosystem, we too are an ecosystems. So this is the best definition of an ecosystem I have come across. And it's an alignment structure, you know, where you have the coordinator, you have some people, but you need to organize yourself a little bit, not too much, but also not totally unorganized. Set of partners that need to interact, that's also, and now remember, in order for a focal value proposition to materialize, you remember the definition of ecosystem from National Geographic. Biotic, living and non-living factors interacting to form a bubble of life. And economic ecosystems, they don't form a bubble of life, they want to earn money. That's the value proposition. And if you cannot explain to me or actually to the partners, to the prospective partners of the ecosystem, where the money comes from in your ecosystems, the business model of the ecosystems, then you need to go back and start thinking, because without a value proposition, you don't get ecosystems. You get partnerships, you get events maybe, you get cooperations for some time, but you do not get stable ecosystems without being able to answer the question, where does the money come from? Where do I own money? So that's the value proposition. There is a more how shall I say it, advanced definition of ecosystems, what type of partners you look. I'm not going into those, maybe later for the discussion. Now, ecosystems are unstable. It's hard to come up with a value proposition for ecosystems. Now you rightfully may ask me, why the hell shall we care about ecosystems? You remember it's a little bit about more agility, etc. But if you form successful ecosystems, you have very hard, you can reap very convincing monetary benefits for that. And this is a study from the MIT's loan management report. The lead members of ecosystems, so not every member, every single member, but the lead members of ecosystems, they have a revenue growth increase about a third. So if your industry average growth rate is 6%, then the ecosystem masters grow 8 or 9%. So that's the promise. And they are also more profitable by about 20 or 30%. So if you have a net margin of 4%, then if you do ecosystems well, you can get 5% margin. Now translate that to new Taiwanese dollars. So that's a lot of money we are talking about. So that's hard financial advantages you get. But where, in which application of ecosystems do you get that? And that's the next the part. One of the things I have already shown with the Philips Health Innovation Network is innovation. Today, everything is so complex. I mean, even I've been in IT industry since 30 years or so, I have to partner for innovation. I can't understand, I can't do everything alone. Innovation ecosystems. You are too slow alone, even if intellectually, I mean, I'm a theoretical physicist, of course, in 20 years I can understand everything, but the world will have moved far away until I understand the current status quo. So innovation ecosystems, number one. The other one is if you have very complex offerings to clients, and the clients do not want, you remember the market, the clients do not want to integrate it. Then you need to band together partners, and probably that could be an ecosystem. The other one is, of course, is if you kind of disrupt a little bit economies or supply chains. In that case, PayPal is a case in point. They have even partnered with regular banks. So normally you would assume that PayPal and the banks are kind of total arch enemies. But with some banks, PayPal has been partnering, and thereby they are disrupting, which is the high end of ecosystems, they are disrupting the payment market, of course. And business disruption, it's the high goal at the end. You do not have to go for disruption all the time, but these are the most common 4 application areas of where ecosystems make sense or might make sense. There are many business opportunities, honestly, where you do not an ecosystem at all. Where you found a startup, you make your products, you focus, you don't need any ecosystems. But whenever you see one of those questions coming up, if your CTO is asking whom are we going to innovate with, because I can't deliver everything alone, then maybe ecosystems come into place. Now, let's say, if we engage in ecosystems, what do they need? And I have also summarized a few additional points which are of no concern right now. But ecosystems are more than your supply chain. So it's not a linear chain. Ecosystems thrive from partners who also sell money also sell goods and services to the same type of customers. And this is the difficult part. You are the company in the middle, and the partner is also selling to your customers. So you have to be aware in ecosystems. You cannot constrain everything like in a tightly managed supply chain. It's much more fluid. This is the strength of the ecosystems, but the managers have to get accustomed to that. And if you look at that, what do you need? Of course, I come from IT. This is an advanced software technology forum. So what IT technology ingredients, and there are two you need. What do you need in order to make that work really in practice? And there are only two things you need. The first one is every error here is an integration task. And I'm not talking about sending a PDF from one. I'm talking about linking systems. This is semantic interoperability, a large field. There's a lot of money to be earned and a lot of money to be lost. But the second one, much more important, before we exchange data, you need to establish trust in the ecosystems. Because without trust, you don't come to the transactions, and you don't need integration. So trust is number one. You establish trust first, then you establish integration, and honestly, integration is solved. Software AG has been doing, we have some competitors, to be honest, of course. The integration problem has been solved for the last 30 years. That's just doing the work. It's hard work, yeah, we love that, not everyone does that, but it's solved. You can concentrate on the trust part. That's the difficult in this situation. But how would you do that? There are two types of trust we can use in ecosystems. So this is just a small sample of an ecosystems. There are two parts where you need trust. The first one is trust in the identity of your partner in the ecosystem. And the second one is, and that's the historic, the chronological order. First, you have to trust your partner, and then you do business, but then you have to trust the transaction. Non-repudiation, is that really coming from the partner? Is that a fraudulent transaction? So you have transaction-related trust. And once you recognize that, it's just plain hard work. We are doing that in Europe with Gaia X. It's just plain hard work to look at the available trust-mediating technologies. I mean, that's also tough work. You can just select any standard you want for your ecosystems. They are out there. There is even software out there. But the key part is there can only be one trust element or one trust mediating mechanism, or there should be only one in your ecosystem. Now, I have some examples of ecosystem realizations, and the most important one is this slide, and I will focus longer. I have more in my thing. You can always do ecosystems if you find a trusted partner in the middle, a third party, a platform provider. You can always do that. A platform provider where everyone uploads the data to that, or the services to that platform provider, and the service consumers, the data consumers, trust the man in the middle, the platform provider, and consume that. If in your ecosystem you find such a trusted man in the middle, a ministry, someone else, then that's the cheapest form. Please go for it. You can implement it easily, the standards are clear. But what can you do if you don't find that man in the middle? And there are two answers to that with current technology. The next answer is a data space. If you cannot find a trusted platform provider in the middle, maybe you can find someone in the middle who is providing only trust mechanisms, not the data platform, so you do not have to share the data, but in the middle, kind of operating a little bit trusting only for the identity, not for the transactions. And standard data spaces need this small box. You need the provider in the middle and a software box, which is also certified to achieve trust. So you have a trusted identity provider in the middle, that's the operator, and every participant has a piece of software and appliance which you also trust. So two elements of trust. And then you do not have to trust the operator in the middle, but messages, data are exchanged directly between the two connectors. That's current data space operation. It works very well. Catena X, 250,000 suppliers in the automotive supply chain are doing that. What if you want to go beyond data sharing, what would you do then? And this is where Gaia-X, a European ecosystem initiative, is coming into play. It's not about data, it's about service. And if you look at the icons, if you look at the small icons, it's more than data sharing, it's service consumption and service provisioning. You still need kind of a federator, it's sometimes called the ecosystem orchestrator, who is holding that together, you know, the center of gravity for some of the standards. For instance, who is taking care about the standards? That would be part of the ecosystems. But other than that, the trust mechanisms are completely between the partners, and you rely on different trust anchors. In the panel discussion, I can tell you more, and the services are consumed directly between service providers and service consumers. So depending on the complexity of your ecosystems, if you can agree on a platform provider, that's the cheapest one. The fastest one, please start here. If your ecosystem starts just with data sharing, look into data spaces and database standards. They exist and software exists. But if you want to generalize that to services, not just sending files and exchanging files, and this is where Europe is heading, then go for things like we have done with Gaia-X, where the ecosystem, the trust, and the identity and the integration is mediated in a more general way. I have a few slides with, and there are some definitions you know partly already. I have some realization issues with me. I'm not going into the details. What I want to show you, however, is how easy it is to connect to data spaces or ecosystems like Gaia-X. You have a lot of different players, and then, and this is the idea, you have one way how to connect to the ecosystem. So all ecosystems thrive on the idea you only have to apply for the identity once. You only have to install an adapter, a connector once, and then you can exchange data with anyone else in the ecosystems. We are talking about a flat access mechanism, and this scales very well. I come from IT, I have a technical background. In reality, it's a little bit more complicated, but honestly, not too much. Maybe you need an adapter, maybe you need other pieces of software, but the idea in Europe, probably you could also use it in Taiwan, of course, is these PCM, OCM, AA services. If you provide standards and open source software, and this is the European idea, for those components, then it just means installing these services or contracting these services from your favorite service provider, and you are free to build any ecosystem or to participate in any ecosystem you want. So you only have to provide and get access once, and then you immediately have access to all the ecosystem where you will need to be partner of. That's the idea, the promise of Gaia-X. Actually, that's the final of my technical presentation. I mean, edge computing, there are some other stuff, nice technicalities, but the principles are fixed. And then I have finally a result which is actually very young. It's 10 days old. I made a very strong point that you do not get ecosystems without a value proposition. But how do you do that? How do you calculate value propositions? And in one of my projects, actually, I have solved that question. Unfortunately, it's a little bit academic, but in the break, if you're interested, this is the master equation for any ecosystem out there. I can calculate whether it makes sense or not, whether it's stable or not. You need a little bit mathematical definition, it's going to be published, but remember, the technical access mechanisms of ecosystems, these are easy to solve. I mean, need a little bit of work. One time you have the standards, you access any ecosystem you want, and then you focus, or first you focus on what is the ecosystem's value proposition, forming a bubble of life. Where do you want to earn money? The other things are solved, But I'm also happy I will be in Taiwan a couple of days any longer, so we can talk about how to calculate the value proposition of your ecosystems. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Please give a warm applause to Dr. Christoph Stronado. Thank you so much for your wonderful speech and very detailed. Thank you for sharing ecosystem example and introduction, and also the realization and also the applied technology to everybody, that everybody can understand driving business transformation through a trusted ecosystem. Thank you very much for your introduction. Thank you. 我们再次掌声献给我们 Dr. Christoph Stronado. Thank you very much. 刚才我们博士呢，他向我们大家呢介绍了我们的可信任生态圈，并且呢也跟大家详细的介绍了我们去中心化的技术，以及他对于我们可信任生态圈的见解，以及平台资讯、平台空间以及平台我们资讯生态圈的一些分享以及技术的分享。相信大家呢一定意犹未尽，想要了解更多，对不对？没有问题，大家桌上都有我们的 QR code。如果您有更进一步的问题，想要来向我们的专家提问的话，现在呢是您的时间，可以来扫描 QR code 来做您的提问。等会我们在下半段的时候会有一个 panel discussion 的时间，届时我们就会来邀请我们的专家来和各位呢可以有双向的互动。谢谢。那紧接着马上的我们要来邀请到的是我们今天的第二一位专家来到舞台上来和我们分享的主题是国际软体技术创新发展的趋势。那我们今天呢也相当荣幸的邀请到的是我们的装饰艺技术长，掌声有请 IBM 装饰艺技术长，掌声有请。
Good morning, everyone here.
Good morning.
Good morning, and our honorable guest and Deputy Director General Betty and Dr. Christopher and Professor Julia and everyone here on site and on the line. This is Steve from IBM, and I would like to share with you the topic: Open Innovation, Generative AI Revolution. So, let's do a quick survey. Have everyone here, any one of you tried ChatGPT ever since last November they launched? Raise your hand. Oh, okay, more than 50%. So, generative AI has been a very, attractive point to our technology. But today, I would like to share with you three topics. Actually, one topic, but by three components. For open innovation and generative AI, I would like to share with you the why, the how, and the action. Okay, the why. Let's begin with the why. So there are a couple of research and survey feedback from our enterprise. So as you can see, enterprise have a lot of requirements, and they have a lot of pressure from the digital transformation. So digital transformation, you can see from the first one, okay, over here. A lot of CEOs say that their companies face high disruption. The disruption comes from the peer pressure, the competition from the international market, the competition from other industries, which is eating up their market. So, and the second one you can see here, a lot of enterprise, they think the trend, the generative AI trend, they can reduce. Actually, they can increase the productivity, but they are going to redefine their labor productivity. Okay? And the third one is we have sensed a lot of cyber attack from the last decade. And as Dr. Professor Christopher said, the ecosystem, the trust, the security concept has been an incoming and overwhelming topic from our enterprise nowadays. And the fourth point is we also have a lot of emerging demands on sustainability. So how to embed the technology and the innovation into the sustainability for our enterprise and company to grow. That was a lot things to say. So a lot of CEO on their top of mind, they want to leverage AI to test and to really benefit from that. But is that really easy? So let's try some other bullet points. Like digital transformation become, universal. A lot of CEO, they think this is the right direction, and they think leverage technology can greatly improve the company revenues. And also, generative AI is taking up the spotlight. So this is an, we cannot reverse the technology, but we need to move on. So from a couple of years ago till now, from 2017 to 2022, there are 2.5 times growth on AI adoption. So this is a survey from McKinsey. And then we need to deeper look into more depth on that. A lot of generative AI usage scenario, a lot of enterprise, they think they need to leverage this technology. How? They believe that generative AI can, in the coming 10 years, they can increase the GDP by 7%. And a lot of productivity gain by generative AI. They can take up the market opportunities by 30%. So this is really, forward-looking technology we are going to move on. But from the executive, what they think they can leverage generative AI. So these are a couple of surveys that they can leverage the technology in the enterprise. So 6%, 63%, they can leverage the large language model in an automation IT process. And then 57%, this is the key. We sense a lot of usage scenario on generative AI, on customer service workflow, and also 45% on supply chain and HR. Like IBM, we ourselves, we automate our process in HR, including salary increase, days off, annual leave, and a lot of internal record and employee promotion recommendation. We leverage the AI to provide the base of the market information versus the employee capability and the skills, so that it can be already an usage scenario in the enterprise itself. And also sales, marketing, operation, and finance. So a lot of generative AI comes from last year, which is getting very popular. But the traditional AI, which is already started many years ago. So from 2016, executives believe that they know about AI, but it's only on traditional AI. But in 2023, 80% of executives think they already tap into this technology domain, and they think that generative AI can make an impact. So we can see more from the information here on the revenue and the financial returns. So business leader, the executive, they think from 2020 to 2022, they think the traditional AI are starting to move on, but as you can see, the generative AI is getting more attraction and bring more possible potential outcomes for the enterprise from the leader's point of view. And also, we kind of categorize how to distinguish between our traditional AI and generative AI. So from traditional AI, we have it from long time ago because, as you know, the AI comes from data, and we have long in the history that we are working on data analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and generative AI. So that's a couple of different phases of the AI revolution. So traditional AI is still very, a very good use scenario in our enterprise scenario, because there are a couple of usage, predictive and prescriptive. So this one is really what we have been doing a lot and from the past. And also, we can use traditional AI for directly conversational, okay? And also, I think from past years, you have been seeing a lot of from our parking systems, and they can use the machine learning to detect our video or image resolution to detect our car plate and then automated our parking experience. So the vision of AI vision is already a very mature technology, and also for the process automation. So traditional AI can do a lot, but people are looking into the generative AI even more. So what can generative AI in the enterprise scenario do? It can summarization, it can do conversational search, it can do the content creation. Oh, this is amazing. If you ever use ChatGPT, and as you know, they are promoting into the next generation ChatGPT v4, and they include a video, image, and a lot of different models into the creation of content. So content creation can become a very inspiring and forward-looking domain on that. And also the last one, code generation or code creation. Because we are facing a lot of pressure from modernization. When enterprises are looking into digital transformation, they need to rewrite, they need to modernize their platform, their application. But as we see from past 20 or 30 years ago, a lot of enterprise programming or platform application are developed in the legacy language environment, such as assembler, COBOL. But now, when enterprises are moving into a more agile development practice, they need to adjust their application CI/CD flow in a very efficient way. So they are looking into like microservices, container environment, Kubernetes platform, so that they can programming their application more easily and faster. So on code generation, that can greatly, efficiently gain the productive of the developer a lot in their usage scenario. So this is what we see from the traditional AI and the generative AI use case. So there are a couple of information, so I'm not going to go deep into that, but this can be shared with you if we have a lot of innovative companies here. If we are looking into some usage scenario, this can also be part of your future product development focus. So we sense that because generative AI is an booming technology, but how we can embed that into our enterprise is a very key fundamental practice. So we kind of condense and think about what our enterprise might need, not the popular, general consumers, because consumers have consumers market and usage scenario. But for enterprise, we are looking into more privacy, security consideration, AI ethics that can promote and embed the technology in the enterprise usage. So ChatGPT has inspired the market and inspired our interest, that's no doubt. But there's a bigger concept. ChatGPT is just a subset of the AI big family, because we're looking at what we call it foundation model, okay? Foundation model is a major component, while generative AI is part of it. So apart from that, we can combine the foundation model and the transformer. As we know, we need to have a lot of computing resource to train, and then we can inference. So we have the foundation model and we have the transformer. Then that's where the generative AI can bring into our enterprise. So foundation models can be applied in many industry and many usage domains, as you see, from chemistry, business process automation, from the IT data, and the cyber resilience domain. So there are a lot of current usage already taking place in what we see from the enterprise. So we have kind of categorized these AI usage into large language models, IT automation models, digital labor models, and the cybersecurity models. So these 4 types of foundation models can be fully applied in the enterprise. And then we know the knowledge, but how we can go forward using that, it will be open innovation. So when we are talking about the AI usage, a lot of enterprises are thinking about how can I use it in my enterprise, my on-prem environment with the data security consideration, and we have data governance models that is not, really putting the security concern into the public cloud domain. So a lot of enterprises, they are thinking about, can we bring our own models, build our own models, or we can leverage the existing, say like IBM or Facebook or AWS, Google, they have developed their models, or they can apply the ready to use. So enterprise, when they are adopting AI, they need to go through a journey. The journey requires a lot of IT talented and the skills. They need to go through try, tune, build, and then finally deploy in their environment. So these are the steps and phases we see that enterprise might go through in their AI journey. So in the past, I think maybe before 2022, before the ChatGPT, the AI is really making us very impressive. We kind of helping our clients adopting AI using plus AI methodology. What is plus AI? Plus AI is like, okay, I need to automate my business process in supply chain or in my ERP systems, and I have very complex of business process logic. And then we apply AI on this kind of silo subset to improve the system from automation and AI tools. But now we are seeing a tremendous disrupting moment for AI into enterprise, because if we're looking back from back to the year 2000, have you ever experienced or know there is an web browser war at that time? We have Internet Explorer, and then we have Netscape. Okay, so for enterprise facing the AI moment, it's like that time. It's like that time. So we are trying to bring the AI that can really work in enterprise by AI first methodology. So from plus AI to AI first, AI plus. That's a different mentality in the enterprise usage. But how to do that? We need to have steps. As we see, enterprise, they leverage different technology from their data source and then kind of, predict their result and outcome from different, phases like advanced analytics, machine learning, deep learning, and then now moving into foundation models. And what is most key is this is not an, one product or one company alone effort. As Professor Dr. Christopher mentioned, it's an ecosystem. The ecosystem can boost the AI usage in our enterprise. We have the foundation layer from the hardware providers. We have the middle layer to provide the platform technology. And then we have the open source solution and the ecosystem that can greatly gathering the mastermind of the major developers into this area and then make the good use of the AI for our enterprise. But is AI really, a highway forward? Well, not exactly. But as you can see, we do see some, concern from the AI adoption. As we can see from last year, when everyone is trying to broadly adopting ChatGPT or other generative AI technology into the enterprise, they kind of sense that this is not easy because a lot of private information and the security on data consideration, confidentiality might not be well considered. So the AI still have some challenges. The first topic is cybersecurity. This is very key because when you are really pumping into the mass data into the AI models, there are a lot of information we need to gather. And these data needs to be censored, needs to be checked, and needs to be examined. And the second one is privacy. Privacy is another big concern from every enterprise or every business organization because data is their competition to win in the market. Their manufacturing data, their IP data, their employee, financial information, those are very sensitive information. These privacy, if we need to well consider that, then we need to build a very well-funded governance model for enterprise when they're adopting AI. And the other one is accuracy. As we mentioned earlier, the generative AI is for summarization, data creation, but accuracy is accuracy. We cannot make like an imagination on numbers or statistics summary results, something like that. So this accuracy is a very key concern also on the AI adoption. So a lot of business leaders see that as one of the other areas on the concern. Explainability, ethics, bias, and the trust. So then that brings an attention to us that when enterprise, we are training our own AI models or we are adopting our generative AI concept, these are areas need to be considered, okay? The data we put in, can we create like, a very smart AI brand? Possibly. But if we are training that AI mind with, some evil ideas, then the AI model will become maybe a war machine. So this is another area we need to fully address when adopting our AI. So companies still face challenge because the technology is so attractive, but they have other consideration on the pace, on how fast they are going to move with the AI. So maybe a lot of them still think this is a very, promising technology, but they are trying to wait and see, and then examine how they can adopt this in a proper way so that can really benefit the enterprise. So this is a very interesting chart I'd like to share with you. From this side, as you can see, there's a graph from 2018, and this is a graph from 2021. So let's see how the companies are facing AI. From 2018, okay, 3 years ago, they are thinking that AI ethics in different perspective. So we can see here, they think that back in 3 years ago or 4 years ago, they think that AI ethics from those companies who adopt AI, they think maybe it's not so important, and the majority is somewhat important. But now, in 2021, the record shows that over 46% say that they bring broad increase in overall importance in AI ethics. And also 27% thinks that they are very important. So AI ethics become a very hot area when enterprise adopting the AI into their business flow, into their manufacturing, and into their business usage scenario. So we know the why. Why is AI important? Then let's see the how we can gradually, step by step, by doing that, to adopt AI. So we mentioned about open source. We mentioned about the open innovation. But we are going to discuss a concept on inner source, okay? Open source, everyone understand that it's come from the open community, and then a lot of company and developer, they share their asset and code into the community and then make it a rich and fruitful repository for everyone to use. So like Linux Foundation, Eclipse, Node.js, or other, Spark, blockchain in Hyperledger, or whatever you see from those large language models, like the Llama engine from Facebook, Meta, or Google. They have other language model that can share in public. So open source is a driving engine to boost this kind of innovation. But inner source is another approach that from enterprise itself can bring in. And that's a more safer environment for enterprise to be innovative and bring the open innovation into their comfort territory. So we ourselves, IBM, we promote a lot of inner source projects within our company. And from the past, we think this is a right approach. We think this is a right approach. So, but that requires some of the fundamental mentality or culture to be in place. For example, we need to have an open mind in the company culture and a very willing to share mindset. So the pay forward mindset is a critical element in how we can do in open innovation. And also we sense that we can reuse everyone's asset and we can make it better and then faster the innovation cycle. So that's the second element. And the other one is we encourage our developer and the employee to participate in the open ecosystem so that they can contribute their intellectual asset into the open market and also share within the company so that we can bring our product in the most agile and frequent productivity life cycle into the market. So, does everyone know this? This one is IBM Watson. The Watson back in 2011, it participated in the United States Jeopardy game and win over 2 outsmart human beings in that competition. But after that, IBM is still trying to commercialize the Watson technology into what we are trying to solve in the AI technology. So we have been through a lot from the ups and downs, but we kind of find a way. What's a way? We try to bring it in more open manner. Okay. We transform the Watson core. We call it a Watson core. Then we do an open source and an inner source approach. Then we come up with the WatsonX.ai. This engine can combine the open source into our development, and then the AI model can come from the open source AI model, and then we also have our own grown models. So this is a very key and component on WatsonX. This is a newly creative platform for IBM's product, and now it's using a lot of efforts from our internal developers and gathering all the resources and efforts together. WatsonX.ai is now, we are collaborating with a lot of enterprise and external research institute on that. So Moderna and IBM Research is working on a project, working for, we're working on a new model. We call it a more formal XL model. It can greatly, put into the development life cycle for the new drug discovery. So as I mentioned, we bring the Watson into WatsonX. It's a platform. And then it covers the most element components that AI in a company used, which is required. So we have the AI model from WatsonX.ai. Then we have WatsonX.data, which is going to provide a very large data engine, including the latest technology from Lakehouse, and then also the WatsonX.governance, which is a very fundamental element to bring all the data in governance model by data cleansing and the data utilization that can put all into the platform for AI innovation. So, as you can see, IBM is transforming a lot from past, what you may understand. IBM used to be a hardware manufacturer, and then we turned into our first and second transformation into IT services, and then we transformed into a hybrid cloud and AI company. So 3 years ago, we acquired Red Hat. Red Hat is an open platform leader, which is a lot of, from Linux, from their Kubernetes, OCP, OpenShift platform. Then we built on that as our foundation for the AI and the data platform of WatsonX. So that can be a foundation to provide all the innovative and possibilities for the enterprise to move on. So the final part is the action. For open innovation, we really acquire 3 key components in this journey. The first one is we need to have an open innovation mindset. The second one is we need to have the people, the talent, and the skill. And the third one is the ecosystem. Okay. So thank you very much for your listening, and thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech. Thank you. 我们谢谢我们庄世仪技术长为我们带来相当精彩的演说，和我们详细的跟我们分享了我们 AI 的应用，以及呢，其实我们 AI 在市场上的普及率已经相当高了。那在这个普及率相当高的趋势底下，我们会遇到什么样的挑战，又会遇到什么样子的收获呢？那以及有什么样的影响？那也谢谢我们庄技术长为我们带来相当精彩的演说。Thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech to explain the AI application and also the impact in the future and the past. And also the using rate actually is more and more in this generation and increasing. So thank you, sir, for introducing the generative AI and also the traditional AI, and also to introduce the strategy and also most importantly how to do it, how to solve the problems. And so IBM have relieved and also have provide some solutions for everybody. 所以呢，我们其实 IBM 也有提供了一些解决方案来给我们现场的与会贵宾可以来做参考。再次用掌声来谢谢我们庄世仪技术长的演说，谢谢。好的，谢谢现场在座所有与会贵宾来参与我们今天早上我们的上半场阶段的一个与会的会议。那我们下半场的会议呢，等一下的在11点15分会再度来到现场，会再度回到现场。那邀请各位嘉宾呢，我们在外头其实有14个摊位，14个商家。那在外头呢，他们会来展示他们的云端的服务的业者的一些内容啊。那要邀请我们所有的与会贵宾呢，在接下来的10分钟的时间，可以来到外头呢，来看他们做面对面的互动。那我们的成果发表的展区，邀请大家不止呢可以来拜访之外呢，我们今天有一个 QR code 扫描的活动，只要大家扫了8个 QR code， 今天我们的活动的最后就有机会可以获得我们55寸的电视，还有非常多的大奖。那也预祝大家呢，今天可以抽中大奖咯。那今天呢，不只是希望大家可以学到很多不一样最新潮的知识以及最新的应用，并且呢，也希望大家满载而归。那别忘了，我们今天主办单位在外头其实也准备了相当多的茶点，那也邀请我们现场的所有与会贵宾可以来到外头来享用茶点。等会我们的会议在11点15分会正式回到现场，届时呢，再有请我们现场所有与会贵宾再准时入席。谢谢您。 各位现场的所有与会贵宾，以及我们所有的产业先进，我们的下半段的会议呢，马上的就要在10分钟后要来正式开始了。再次邀请我们在我们户外的所有的与会贵宾，可以来入席就坐。那也邀请呢，我们户外如果有您的同事的贵宾呢，也可以来提醒一下我们的贵宾。那我们在3分钟后呢，我们的会议就要再度正式开始了。邀请现场所有的与会贵宾呢，可以尽速就坐，谢谢。欢迎现场在座所有与会贵宾莅临我们看见台湾数位竞争力的现场。那我们等会的会议呢，马上的就要正式开始了。再次邀请我们在外头的所有的与会贵宾，邀请大家来到我们的会议室内尽速就坐。我们下半段的会议呢，马上的就要开始了。那也再次提醒各位贵宾，邀请您，请您将您的手机调为震动或者是静音模式，以免来影响我们的会议进行。那我们等会呢，会有一个 panel discussion， 那也邀请我们所有与会贵宾再次邀请您扫描我们桌上的 QR code， 等会呢我们 discussion 的阶段的时候呢，就可以来有请我们的舞台上的专家们来和现场的所有与会贵宾做双向的交流，好不好？如果呢大家有任何的问题，欢迎来扫描我们桌上的 QR code， 可以来和我们舞台上的专家以及贵宾们做双向的交流。Rita 再次有请我们外头所有的与会贵宾，邀请大家，我们今天的会议下半段马上的就要在1分钟后开始了，邀请所有的与会贵宾请尽速就座，谢谢。 各位现场所有的与会贵宾，欢迎回到我们看见台湾数位竞争力的现场。那我们有请线上以及线下的所有与会贵宾，大家请尽速就位了。我们的会议呢，马上的就要来开始了。等会呢，我们会邀请到我们的4位专家来到舞台上，来和现场的与会贵宾呢做双向交流。那邀请大家呢，可以扫描桌上的 QR code， 您呢就可以来和我们舞台上的专家以及我们的长官贵宾们一同呢来做双向的提问，来做双向的交流。邀请我们户外的所有与会贵宾，在外头的所有与会贵宾，有请所有与会贵宾请尽速就座，我们的会议马上的就要再度开始了。Ladies and gentlemen, our conference is going to commence very, very soon. I would like to invite all the distinguished guests here in this room. Please be seated. Thank you very much for your cooperation. 各位现场所有与会贵宾，欢迎回到数位转型，看见台湾。看见台湾数位竞争力的现场。那紧接着呢，我们要来进行的是 panel discussion 的阶段。有请我们现场所有与会贵宾，大家可以扫描我们桌上的 QR code。等会呢，我会邀请我们的贵宾来到我们的舞台上，和各位嘉宾呢做双向的交流。好的，那我们今天马上的首先要来邀请到的是我们今天的 panel 主持人，掌声有请国立成功大学电机工程学系詹宝珠特聘教授，有请教授。紧接着，我们要来邀请我们3位非常难得齐聚一堂的贵宾，来到我们的舞台上，和我们一起来做 panel discussion。让我们来掌声欢迎 Miss Dr. Christoph Stronado from Software AG. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome. 以及我们今天第2位也非常重要的贵宾，刚才呢也和各位嘉宾来做了分享，掌声欢迎 IBM 庄世义技术长，有请技术长。以及我们第3位非常重要的贵宾也莅临来到了现场，掌声欢迎台湾微软花凯龙首席技术长，掌声欢迎首席技术长。好的，我们今天要来讨论的议题内容是软体技术的发展趋势。再次提醒大家，大家可以扫描我们桌上的 QR code 来向我们台上的各位长官来做提问。那如果您需要我们的翻译耳机的话，在门口处我们都有提供翻译耳机的借用。现在我们就把时间来交给我们的 panel 主持人，让我们来掌声欢迎我们的詹教授。谢谢詹教授，掌声欢迎。
Hi everyone, especially welcome all the industry leaders and also our friends from around everywhere come to here to attend today's digital transformation, unveiling Taiwan's digital competitiveness. And during this morning's section, I think you have heard great experience, especially from our international speakers, from Christopher Snodder and also Steve Zhuang, talking about the ecosystem. How can we, in the industry, to build a successful and a trust-enabled ecosystem. And we also heard from the Steve Zhuang about how to use the AI in our business to improve your companies. So this is a very great opportunity. Now, this is the time for you, after you have heard this great talk and experience, you might have some of the questions you would like to dwell more deeper and insight about some of the issues you would like to know. So this is today's section, especially this panel discussion. So now I would like to, I don't think I need to give you, because most of our speakers already have some of the comment. So I would like directly go to the question. Only Professor Hua Kai, probably give a brief introduction of yourself.
Hi, hi everyone. My name is Kai. I came from Microsoft Taiwan. In the past, actually, I also worked in the university. I used to be a professor in National Taiwan University of Science and Technology. And from last year, I joined Microsoft. Recently, we do a lot of digital transformation through various industries. As you might know, in the past, financial and healthcare fields, it's very tough and challenging to go cloud. But recently, because of the generative AI, we are working with a few companies all together to perform the digital transformation. And I wanted to just highlight one thing for the digital transformation. It's not just upgrade your technology systems, it's actually the mind transformation. You need to have the new perspective, and you need to have the new idea to how to evolve your business and how to have a new, like a new transformation business and new transformation of your operation. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So now we have three CTO from the different companies, and they are all leading in the world. So now I will go to the question from the audience. The first question is particular to Christopher. It says, according to your ecosystem theory, what's the most valuable ecosystem do we have in Taiwan? And could you please share your opinions on this part?
Yeah, thanks very much for that question. Unfortunately, I don't have the total insight into the Taiwanese the industry system and the ecosystems. But one of the examples I can quote is, the question was, what is the most successful single ecosystem a little bit? And what we see in other countries and in other ecosystems is that, yes, you start at one ecosystem, maybe it's manufacturing in the south, maybe it's banking, maybe it's health, because you are now allowed to upload everything into the cloud. But immediately after you have established the first ecosystem, everyone will discover that many participants of that ecosystem are at the same time also participants of another ecosystem and another one. So linking the ecosystems will be the second question after you have established the first one. So unfortunately, I can't directly answer the original question, but what we see is we expect that the ecosystems will need to interact. So for instance, manufacturing, you have different manufacturing parts, the continuous process industries, discrete manufacturing, what about automotive, supply chain, transportation and logistics. You cannot separate really ecosystems. In my talk, I said you should define the ecosystems, but at the same time, you should always take them into account and in your mind that ecosystems need to be kind of, not fluid, but you need to be able to exchange information across ecosystems. So if any ecosystem or many ecosystems could standardize or agree on a common standard for trust, that would be awesome. And that would give all of Taiwan a competitive advantage because the US will never manage that. Only a single platform will be able to set the standard, but then you are completely dependent on that platform provider or the few platform providers. But if you can create such an ecosystem, trust infrastructure here, that would be a compelling competitive advantage. And you start in one ecosystem and arrive at that ecosystem trust highway, something like that, a data highway, and then you have won.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I don't know if other speakers want to, anyone want to comment on that?
Okay, I would like to share a little information here. So in Taiwan, I guess recently one of the focus is generative AI. So in Taiwan, we do have a very strong IC industry, like also the PC industry. So altogether, from the hardware to software, I think that's one of the major ecosystem we could have in Taiwan. And also on the other hand, we do have a very strong IT providers. So the IT provider will penetrate into different, like as you mentioned, different like fields like automobile, healthcare, and altogether. So again, I wanted to highlight one thing I learned from Microsoft. It's the mindset that you need to change. It's the mindset that how to improve. It's not just the technology that we see the generative AI. So if we employ generative AI, we can do something more. That's not enough. You need to think what you should do and what should be transferred and what we should do. And in another perspective, one of the important the thing that I also learned from Microsoft, it's the mindset, like growth mindset. In addition to the transformation mindset, there is a growth mindset. Like for example, if you are facing any challenges, in the past, we might say that, okay, this is not my field. I don't know anything regarding to this task. However, through the Microsoft culture, it's like, okay, it's okay, you don't know anything, but the question is, how are you going to know this thing? And for the next question or for the next time, how are you going to deal with this question? So from my perspective, it's not only the technology transformation, it's the mind transformation, it's the growth mindset, and the technology transformation along with the mind transformation that will help us to perform a successful digital transformation.
Okay, thank you. So I think even though Christopher has mentioned that he might not be able to give very deep understanding of Taiwan, as to propose about the so-called comments, also valuable ecosystem in Taiwan. But I think Christopher should be able to give us some of the comments about the experience about the ecosystem from your company. For example, can you make one or two examples from Europe as your present company software? And what kind of ecosystem are there be popular to use? So that might be an experience to us.
Yeah, thanks a lot. That's much, much easier. Thank you. No, I always seek a reason to come to Taiwan a second time. And this question, I will research it. Of course, there are reports on your industry. So, but first, let me give you the ecosystems we have in Europe. So the very, very first data space which originated in Europe was the mobility data space in 2021. So it was all data which is mobility relevant. This is public transport, this is free parking spaces, this is the charging infrastructure of electric vehicles, this is the plans, the floor plans of very complicated stations, the timetables of high-speed rail in Taiwan, something like that. And that started in two ways. The first one is in an organizational way. There was an ecosystem orchestrator, and initially they had 10, 20 ecosystem members, and guess how many transactions, productive transactions they did in the first half year. How many? You don't have, just think 20 German companies, European companies, mobility, how many transactions in a data space? It was 50 per month. So they started very small because the technology is new, because the ecosystem forms, and it is something where all the participants learn as they go. So you need to invest a little bit and be patient, and now it's much larger. So mobility is one. The second one which grew is the automotive industry, actually the automotive supply chain. That was of course in the aftermath of COVID, the supply chain disruption. You cannot phone up your supply chain. Do you know how large the global automotive supply chain is? How many, on a global basis, how many companies are part of the automotive supply chain? Just think. You have Volkswagen, you have the Chinese ones. 254,000 companies. It's unbelievable many, and it's impossible that they will agree on a single platform provider, you know, the data platform. It's impossible. So you will have to have an international standard accepted by everyone, like federated, so not a single one. I mean, there are many German companies, but I'm come from Austria, don't tell that my boss, I wouldn't trust everything just to the Germans. I mean, maybe a little bit of control. So this is operational right now. Catena X is the name of that. And so these are all ecosystems which have formed out of the industry. There is another one, Manufacturing X, but in my opinion, that's too large. You have different manufacturing sectors, discrete manufacturing. You should go first. So this is one way how to grow ecosystems from industry itself. So industry consortia band together, including small and medium-sized enterprises, by the way, which do not need to invent everything, but just participate in events like that. But there is also top-down ecosystem, where the government, the European government, is actually passing a law on the first European data space in, and that might be also interesting for Taiwan, health. There will be the European Health Data Space Act, a European law, and actually many governments need that kind of kick in the back. You have to provide, you have to share the data for the benefit of society, and there is a law, and once you have that law, then everyone jumps on that bandwagon. We also expect that CO2, greenhouse emissions, digital product passport, like in that case, there will be regulation which is demanding that you have a digital product passport, and then everyone will comply, and thereby will have to use the same standards, and then the ecosystem will kind of flourish and bloom. So that's a short answer. Is it short? No.
That's great. That's great experience, and also to share with us. And say, give a very great comment that for this ecosystem, we should start from industry inside, and so you need to go through to identify what kind of industry, what kind of partner you need to cooperate. But at the same time, we should urge, or should we say urge, our government should go from top down to go through the strategy and policies or some of the budget to enforce and to help this ecosystem to moving forward. So both from kind of top down and bottom up, and both sides can meet and then put the effort together, then we can move this digital transformation more smooth and go forward more efficiently. Okay, so that's great experience. And there's another, some of the question is that there are some, because you know, if we like to do the digital transformation, usually you need a budget, right? You need a budget. So do you have any comment about how do you usually estimate this budget? And is there any way you think how do we, during this transformation, how you can cut down, if the budget is limited, how to cut down, or even if we have very limited budget, what kind of, what should we start with, so then gradually we can go forward to do the transformation. Okay. Okay, we can.
Okay, I think this is a very good topic, and also a very okay, it's good, and also a very challenging topic for every enterprise who is facing or going through this kind of journey. As we know from our past experience supporting our clients, digital transformation is not about cost saving. Okay, if you want to cut your cost and then do the transformation, I think it's more a mentality from the business leader in every enterprise to know that digital transformation is an investment for future. It's an investment for future. And it requires a lot of executive and stakeholder sponsorship to make it happen, because it's such a painful process. As I mentioned, painful, it's not like a physical painful, but also a lot of like you are driving and high-speed rail, and then you need to change to the other one because business cannot wait, and you are pushing your business to another level of attitude so that your company or your business can move into another growth engine. So I think for a lot of enterprise, they need to investment on this digital transformation. This is very key. And the second one is executive sponsorship. And the other one is the whole company's mindset transformation, as Professor Dr. Kai just mentioned. The mindset transformation for the overall company is very key for the success of digital transformation as well. And I think also it requires a lot of supporting forces from the outside. If you cannot, making the transformation from your own self, you may need other like third-party consultant companies. You might leverage other like step-by-step, identify some of the project and the phases to make the company into a more digitalized infrastructure or process business environment. Say, for example, you can start from small, identify some of the challenges from internal yourself. Is the IT environment more efficient? Do we need to build it on-prem or using the cloud? Is the productivity of the employee can leverage some of the tools and the environment to make it more productive? Can we leverage some of the most popular technology into our companies to help and support our environment running more efficient? So you can break into some more spatial component and then move it like phase by phase or piece by piece. Then you can gradually digest the success of the small achievement or small success. Then you will have competence from the executive level to move into a larger jump on the digital transformation. So it's not like giving it all up for your past, but in the other words, you need to stand on your foundation and improve step by step so that you can move. So that's my suggestion.
Okay, so for digital transformation, my suggestion is first, you need to empower internally. So you need to help your employers to understand the roadmap of your company. So the leader should have a strong vision, like what's our roadmap for the company. The second thing is, in terms of the budget, it's always a very challenging question. Like, as we just discussed, there's always, investment for new things. So how to allocate a proper budget is always a very challenging issue. So one of the solution Microsoft provides is like if you go cloud, as whatever need you, like whatever technology you need, you just change your subscription. Instead of, you need to buy another computer or buy another very expensive hardware, then you can using the subscription to identify or to modify the equipment you need from there. So from our experience, Go Cloud is one of the shortcut that can help you to manage your budget because instead of buying a lot of device, then it's more flexible. And as I mentioned earlier, the internal empowerment is important. The mindset and also the roadmap, clear roadmap. So people have the same mindset. People would know, okay, what we need to do and where are we going. So a clear mindset and the flexibility for the device and how to operate internally. Like internally, how do we improve the efficiency from internally to the potentially the product that we are providing to our customers. So another slogan, like mentioned many times in Microsoft, is like we always try to empower the organization and every person and every organized nation to achieve more. So again, similarly, if you have the mindset to empower your employers and also to empower your customers, then you will know what you can do. And another important thing is what's your unique functionality. So for your company or for yourself, what's the value from yourself or your company that can provide to the others? Thank you.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, honestly. The only additional advice, actually from our own, the company from Software AG, is that the executive buy-in is necessary for the really culture-changing shocks of digital transformation. And for us, it was, we are a software company. Mm-hmm. And how do you sell software? Or how did you sell software 10 years ago? You write code, you hand it to the customer, and let the customer deal with the errors, the bugs, and you have a call center and they call it. But it's the customer's problem to solve them. And what is digital transformation for a software company? We need to run our own software and provide it as software as a service. So now we are an IT service company, like Atos, like IBM. We need to run our own software. And that's a complete different set of processes, a complete different mindset. And I think it was very important for us to distinguish there are culture-changing, shocking digital transformation stuff. And that took us much too long because we had a CFO who was not into cloud and he was almost sabotaging. He left the company a long time ago. He was almost sabotaging that. You can't do that. Now it works. But this is culture changing. But there are a lot of other projects, and you mentioned it, which you can include in your regular planning process. Not everything in digital transformation is totally disruptive. And by complementing the evolving incremental benefits, and at certain years, and for that you need the roadmap, of course, the disruptive things, that's digital transformation. It's more a position, how you approach the challenges. It's not a project which you have completed. It's not like children, and in 10 years they go to high school and that's it. And you are free to do whatever you want, play golf or go sailing. It's more like a mindset which accompanies you in your planning process. But there are easy incremental parts and mind-boggling, different, everything as a service for a production company. I don't know, we have compressed air as a service. One of our clients is doing, instead of selling a compressor. Now it's compressed air as a service, and if the air doesn't come out of the nozzle, he doesn't get any revenue. That's completely different from, hey, the compressor over there at Foxconn doesn't work. Oh yeah, we send a maintenance team. So you have to distinguish those two, and then it's less frightening.
Yeah, that's a great comment. So I think all the company need to know that mindset change, okay, and also need internal empowerment in order to do the digital transformation. Make sure that you need to give your employee have enough of the capabilities, and also to do it could be start from some point incrementally, and then make sure it's not just a start and then stop. It should be gradually and continuously. Okay, that's all very important. And then in that case, I come to a question is there any, do you have any experience of that? How do you, is there any, education or somehow the, any of the specific education program that is needed for this to change the culture of the companies? And do you know any education resource or some way that we should focusing on empowering our employee or our members? Do you have any?
Yeah, I think there are several ways how you can improve that. In Europe, at least, where I come from, we have several different layers of education, of secondary education. Partly you have education systems which is very focused on job-specific skills, like universities of applied science, but even below a university degree, which have the advantage that you can immediately, you can earn a master in generative AI, and they can immediately do that very well. So that's for the immediate, like next 5-10 years, that's okay. But at the other hand, you have the general university and technical university studies, and those are the people who like to solve unknown, like you mentioned, the totally unknown problems. You cannot have applied science if there is no scientific theory at all. So you also need a few of those guys who deal, you remember I was standing up there, who deal with the completely unknown. And together, those two the groups of people would complement a good manager, a good leader, because sometimes I'm not too much into differentiating managers or leaders, but it's important that the people who have the theory and can bring projects down to earth, that they have a backup at the higher management, even if the top management wouldn't understand how quantum computing really works or how cosine similarity works in large language models. But they need to take the heat if some things won't work initially. There will be a rough patch here and there because, we have been in IT long enough. Not every IT project works totally as budgeted and as planned, but you need a backup at the top level management who can really lead in that case, the team through those hard times, and only then to look back after the success, because it will eventually be successful. It's a human invented technology, we can master that. Maybe not the Germans if you look at the Berlin-Brandenburg airport. But in many cases you are successful and you need a top manager who keeps keeps your back free of kind of errors from behind. So these three elements would bring you a great way, but my guests, the other guests have certainly additional comments.
For transformation on the education side from the enterprise, I can share some of our past experience by supporting our clients for digital transformation, especially on the education. So there are a couple of areas that needs to be considered. The first one is, for the education, are we talking about soft skill side or hard skill side? Is the transformation on adopting some of the tools that requires employee to be trained and operate to improve? Or is it a software skill that needs to do the mind-changing mentality for the employees. So that's two different parts. For the soft skill side, we generally adopt a methodology called design thinking process, design thinking. So it's like a garage innovation. We have some of the business consultants and transformation leaders that can jump into the enterprise and then conduct a workshop regarding design thinking. And that design thinking approach is a lively participant with different organizations from the enterprise. Say, for example, we have invited different employees from manufacturing side, from HR, from finance, from business unit, and from maybe executive level. All can participate because everyone can share different kind of vision and challenges they are facing in their existing environment. Then from this kind of design thinking workshop, the contribution of a challenge, then how to turn the challenge into opportunities, and then involve into some of practical approaches from short-term, near-term, and the long-term. So that can be, a kind of consensus reached from all of the companies that this kind of workshop do help to cohesive their employees' collaboration, and then all the transparency from up level to the bottom level. So that's from the soft skill side. If from the technical part for specific hard skills, then we will recommend enterprise to adopt some of their employee training system into an open badge. Open badge means after you graduate from school, in your job market, you still have some of the improvement year by year to train and sharpen your skills on specific domain. Say, for example, is it coding? Is it language? Is it like Hadoop data, big data concept? Everyone in different units should equip some of the cutting edge technology in the market so that can keep the company a big momentum from their knowledge level to help the company on the same pace to move forward. So that's what we would support our clients to their transformation from the educational side. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, so I agree of that, and in addition to that, I also wanted to share that we also embrace the diversity. So in our culture, we encourage people to be different. And in addition to this, we encourage people to share their ideas. So during the meetings, it's kind of the during a meeting, the hierarchy of or your job title during the meeting is not important. It's like, okay, everyone share the same position, and we would like everyone to share your ideas. So embrace the diversity and encourage the people to share their ideas, actually help the company to improve a lot. And also for the hard skill side, in Microsoft, we have Viva Learning. So occasionally, the company will ask, based on your job function, they will ask you to attend some online course. And giving you a period of time, you need to finish all those online courses. So recently, I was asked to learn about quantum computing. So I know very limited, but they give me a hard deadline. Then by this hard deadline, you need to learn the, yeah. So similarly, I guess for different like colleagues, they will receive different training courses, and this is how we help our colleagues to improve. Along the time, then you will definitely improve.
Okay, great. Okay, great suggestions, experiences. Now I have another some question from the audience, which is I think it's also very important, especially in digital transformation. During the digital transformation, what are the common pain points of digital transformation, and also what are the potential obstacles that the company may encounter? And do you have any suggestion of precaution steps or so that this can be conquered? So this, I think this is also very important to them. So you want to start from here? Yeah. Okay, start from you. Okay.
Yeah, that was just for diversity. No. I think really the most difficult part with digital transformation is where to start and how to start. Because if you have already started, then you know you have sorted out a little bit of things. You find your peers, but where to start, and it's what we see. And also, of course, Software AG is selling software to other companies. So we are a vendor. We cannot tell our customers what they must do. It's we can maybe discover and design thinking. Certainly is one experience and a good way how to explore where can digital transformation help. And the only way, I think, or one way how to avoid that, I don't know where to start. So let's wait another year and look after that. Maybe after 2 or 3 years, maybe really too late. In those situations when you have a planning exercise, I mean, normally companies plan, do a yearly planning, I don't know, right now, what is the budget cycle? You plan, and then you have an agenda point. I don't know, maybe you invite a lecturer, someone else, an external speaker, you do a little bit of a design thinking workshop against your normal plan of the future. You do not have to, in digital transformation, have to do everything new from one year to the other. That won't work. But you certainly have competitive pressures. But why not combine the competitive pressures, which you have to deal, your customers are asking for a cost reduction. Maybe digital transformation can help. And then in such workshops, when you just start talking about that, it will become much clearer. I think empowerment is good. The people at the shop floor, the people who work in the companies, I mean, they read also the papers. They know digital transformation. Maybe they go, and you allow them, hopefully, to go to fairs. They know technology which could help them. So you just have to, as a manager, just have to enable that discussion, give a forum, like a structure a little bit. And in your yearly planning exercise, if you don't know how to start with digital transformation, then if you reserve half a day or a day just for that, maybe if the company is very much afraid of digital transformations, maybe you don't even call it digital transformation because everyone, there is a consultant coming. Maybe just do, how can technology help us? Do you know some new stuff? What in technology would you like us to do? We know we have budget constraints. One creativity technique, for instance, is to say, if you have all the time in the world, what would you do in order to solve our business problems? Another one is, what if you have all the money, no budget constraints? What if you have all the money? What would you do? Or if you have a fairy, a fairy from the fairy tales comes and she offers you one free wish. What wish is that? And that's the number one problem. And there I would look for digital transformation and how digital transformation could look like. So maybe you do that in disguise, but just start in your regular planning process. And if it doesn't work in this year, I would repeat it after half a year. Because that's the task of the manager, to push, nudge, I think nudge the employees there, because in 5 years, it's too late.
Yeah, okay, I would like to add some comment. I agree, and also, for most of the companies, digital transformation journey is not comfortable. If it's comfortable now, then it's not called disruption. So I think everyone should aware of that and then know how we can, embrace this discomfort or disruption altogether. So that's very key to the enterprise. And also, we a lot of different information from different enterprise. there's one key findings that I would like to share. Of course, we mentioned about executive sponsorship. Their commitment and their endorsement is very key. If their strong will is changing or shifting, then it will possibly not going to be successful. If they do not endorse or they do not put a lot of effort from up down, then possibly it will not success as well. But also, the other one I think is very important is they need to have the transformation engine. Where are the engines come from? The talent within the enterprise, the top talent from different organizations. They need to form a special task force, and they are giving a certain amount of authorities, and also they are given a measurable of KPI, which might not be, making money related. They need to have patience to make this task to be successful. So from different measurement side, from finance measurement, from business operation, etc., we need to have this kind of special task force to do their own task. And they need to have the power to move different kind of resources within the company to make the common goal, the transformation goal, to be successful. So we see a lot of like a banking environment, financial institutes for the digital transformation journey. They kind of have some kind of new foundation, new organization set up. And the new organization would lead the digital transformation journey on the success. So that's my share.
Okay, so for transformation or for change, it's always challenging because people don't want to change. If I can maintain the same, if I can just be doing what I do yesterday, then that would be fine. But if I have to do new things, it's challenging, and I sometimes don't want to learn new things. So the thing is, the challenge is how do we deal with those legacy systems or those old habits? And one of the ideas that from our experience is like go cloud is one of the solutions. Because once you go cloud, in the future, once you need to change any hardware like device, then the challenging becomes much easier because you just change your subscription. But if you have a data center and then you are considering potentially the GPU capability is not enough, then I need to build another data center, then you need to think about a lot of things. So I think the most challenging thing is the legacy system. So how to reduce the difficulty to change the legacy system is important. And one of the solutions is go cloud because that makes everything easier. Okay, thank you.
那我们掌声献给我们4位讲师。谢谢 ，Thank you so much for your wonderful sharing and also for your wonderful speech。那我们是不是掌声有请我们4位讲师请入席？谢谢你们 ，Thank you for your wonderful speech and also please be seated. Thank you so much。再一次呢，谢谢我们的詹宝朱特聘教授，那也谢谢 Dr. Christoph Stronado and also 我们的庄世义技术长，谢谢您啊，也谢谢我们台湾微软花凯龙首席技术长的分享，非常精彩的分享，相信大家一定意犹未尽。那相信我们刚才我们在同一幕上，大家有看到，其实我们问题有17题，其实没有问完，对不对？那因为呢，我们今天时间有限，没有办法让大家呢可以在我们的舞台上一一问答，给大家回复。但是呢，如果您有进一步的问题，今天相当难得，所有的与会的先进、产业的先进都在现场，贵宾也都在现场。等一下，我们有一个半小时的中午午餐休息时间，大家赶紧抓紧机会。那我们现场呢也 不仅仅是台上跟台下的交流，相信我们每一家厂商、各个厂商互相之间也是可以做交流的。那希望呢，大家在踊跃的交流之下呢，可以促进台湾经济的更进一步的成长。那再次谢谢我们4位讲师为我们台湾竞争力以及台湾产能上的说明以及分享，让我们呢可以站在我们巨人的肩膀上来为我们台湾数位竞争力来尽一份心力。我们数位转型看见台湾数位竞争力国际论坛暨成果发表会到此呢先告一个段落。那我们中午时段呢有一个半小时的时间，那邀请大家呢在这1个半小时的时间当中呢，您可以随时回到我们的官网来看我们今天的线上直播的重播，来复习呢我们今天的精彩的内容。那也欢迎大家呢来进入我们的虚拟的展会。那在虚拟展会当中呢，大家也可以看到我们今天精彩的议程之外呢，也有更多的资讯。那欢迎大家呢来参访。接下来呢1个半小时的时间，邀请大家来到我们的 304A 以及304B 的会议室来进行用餐。在我们本厅305呢，我们会来做清场的动作，所以等一下呢，邀请大家到我们隔壁304A 以及304B 的会议室来进行用餐。提醒大家，请大家务必让我们的工作伙伴呢来扫描大家的 QR code 来领取我们的餐盒。那餐盒的部分就在304A 跟304B 的门口。那我们下午阶段的云端服务成功经验的分享论坛有2个场地，请大家一定要知道这2个场地分别在本场地305，那305会议室要讲的主题是医疗照护以及观光旅宿的应用。那我们隔壁304A 会议室要讲的主题是农业应用以及商业流程的应用。那邀请大家，如果您对我们的议题相当有兴趣的话呢，欢迎大家可以准时与会。下午场我们在1点30分会来回到现场。那邀请大家，如果您有借刚刚的口译机，请如果有借的人呢，帮我准时归还我们的口译机，那来领回你们的证件。好，那我们下午场的会议呢，在1点30分的时候呢，会正式再回到现场，届时再邀请所有与会贵宾来准时出席。如果您是素食的贵宾，邀请您来到报到处来做领取餐盒。如果您是素食的贵宾，来到报到处来领取餐盒。The next session of our conference will start at 1:30. I would like to invite all the distinguished guests in this room. Please attend on time. Thank you very much for your cooperation.